Hello, everyone. We are live now, and this is a session on staying strong in 2022 or 2022 and beyond. And I have with me some very illustrious speakers, and Rekha Shah ma'am is joining us from Gujarat. She's a well known educationist and a principal of Podar School in Vadodara, and she organizes TEDx events. She inspires a lot of youngsters. Very happy to have you, Rekha ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we have Kamalneet, who's also a TEDx speaker, and he's a wonderful orator. He's an inspirer, motivator. He holds lots of leadership workshops for the youth and others, not so young as well, I guess. And he's absolutely very, very much on the ball while speaking, very sharp with his wit and humor. Good to see you, Kamalneet.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being here.
So the connection here is that all of us got together for a TEDx event 2 years ago, or was it two and something years ago now, in Vadodara when Rekha ma'am had invited us as TEDx speakers. I, Kamalneet, and Madhu, who's going to join us in a little while, and all of us were part of that team, and we have kept in touch. We have held such motivation sessions at least once before online as well, and I believe a couple of other sessions also where that team of TEDx speakers, including Kamalneet, had joined, and Rekha ma'am had also joined last year for the motivational session. So the idea behind this is that staying strong in 2022 is about the year starting with a bit of difficulty, with this third wave coming in January or even in December late, and staying on for a while. And not only the pandemic, since it is a new year, it gives chances to us to renew our lives and our dedication to our future. And we can resolve to do great things in the new year. And it's still 11 and a half months to go, roughly. So lots can be achieved in 2022. If we feel gloomy or we feel dull or we feel that, oh no, another wave, another year, and that kind of attitude will not really take us forward much. So to stay motivated and inspired is our duty almost, because also we affect, by our mood, we affect others. Anyone in our family, anyone in our circle. If we are going on cribbing, crying, oh no, ye kya ho gaya, wo kya ho gaya, then obviously everyone else also feels low, and it kind of spreads like a wave of feeling low, which is probably worse than the wave of the virus itself. And I have been writing and talking on the fact that our mood and our state of mind also affects our immunity and our physical well-being. So it's very important that we stay a little upbeat, gung ho, and inspired. And with these very inspiring personalities, one by one, we will speak to you, and then we'll have an interaction. We'll share some experiences and thoughts on this era, and not only the pandemic, but generally how should the youth, especially, aspire for a bright and vibrant future. So this is an event by Vibrant Networking Forum, and we continue to bring very beautiful online sessions to you during the lockdown. And we also have, of course, lots of physical, actual events when the lockdown is not there or the wave is not there. And I'm going to straight away plunge into the first speaker's session. So it's going to be Rekha ma'am, Rekha Shah ma'am, the educationist from Gujarat. Over to you, ma'am. For about 7 to 8 minutes, we'd like to hear your thoughts on the subject. All the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vivekji. Uh, I'll say that standing strong in 2022. When this comes to my mind, I am always worried that why we don't talk about falling down, why we are afraid of any difficulties or any challenges or anything which we find it very difficult to accept it. Uh, I believe that somewhere we look back at our childhood or the way we are bringing our children, uh, the developing emotional and social competencies are missing. We talked a lot about, be strong and, you face the world and you face all the difficulties. But I feel that is a process of life. If you look back, many times we have fallen down and again we have got up and again we have started our journey with same energy and same zeal. Why we don't talk about negative emotions? When we say that we are hurt, or oh my God, this I can't take it. Anyway, we all know that the world doesn't move according to our wish and our dreams. Life gives us many surprises, and as and when it comes, I think we must deal it with lot of good spirit. Uh, Even as an educator, I was looking that not only the youth or the children, but even the adults. There, I found at times we see very good social skills, but when it comes to emotional management, we are not so good. We are not so good role model in front of our youngsters, or in front of the society at large. uh, I'll tell you what we do is, one thing is we have got very poor vocabulary to express our emotions. Second thing is, if something wrong happens, we hug that and we keep on crying, and we love to have sympathy, or at times we look for the advice. But that really doesn't work in that manner. If anything happens, I think if we stand strong and face it, even that moment is also going to pass by. Everything, when we look at it, we feel that, uh, I'll just give you the example of this pandemic. All the time talking about pandemic, all the time talking about negative things, the number of deaths, so many people have lost their jobs. And I was thinking, why can't we turn this pain into power by saying that human beings are the best design of God, and whatever the challenges comes, we have capacities to deal with that and to find out the solutions for the same. uh, Many of the teacher community, they were often talking that they have lost the job, they are on sabbatical leave. And I just asked them one question, that why, but as a human being, think about it. Along with teaching, what other things you know? And we have to start thinking about it. We have to start keeping the doors open, that if one door is closed, I have the capacity to open 10 more doors for myself, you know. And with this, I was so happy to see that somebody started doing online business, somebody started making nice recipes and selling about it. Some teachers made so wonderful stories for children, and they started teaching children how to tell stories. And once we start thinking that agar like if I have this difficulty, but I do have lot many other things to look into it and move ahead. Sometime even I see that the poor social structure, people love to talk only about the things what they are not having it. And I always tell, if we balance it out, and if we think that, okay, what I'm having, but and what I can do with what I'm having with us. I'm very glad that socio emotional competencies nowadays are a very important curriculum at the school platform. And students are being taught how to name the emotions and accept it. Morning, you get up, and by evening, different kinds of emotions we face. And if we name it, and if we accept it, I think it moves off. You are able to move ahead, and you are able to walk with more confidence and more strength. With this, our children will learn from us that nothing is impossible. We human are the best design of God, and we are more of problem solver rather than problem creators. Here I will say, yes, happiness is so very important. We don't know how to keep ourselves happy. Here again, I'll say that, yes, how you can have more buzz moment in your life, and how more and more happiness you can add on. Like for simple things like singing song, to just chatting, or sometimes just not doing anything, and every week you keep on adding one more happy moment to your own behavior. and how we become a self-starter, and we have decided that no, I want to be happy, and whatever things comes, I'll deal with it, and I'm going to move ahead. And this positive vibes, this really helps, and even helps people around you also get inspired. And I think a kind of idea bank starts flowing down, and you start thinking that yes, agar ye nahi hai to main ye bhi kar sakti hu, agar ye nahi hai to I can do that also. But this process, I'm just sharing that we do talk this in our assembly time, and I'm so glad that children have started, and children naturally they have got more adaptability than us, and they were going home and turning that whole negative environment into the positive environment, and a kind of an attitude that yes, whatever as and when it comes, I'm ready to deal with it, and not to really hug the sad part or the things which we don't like, we are hurt, or we are unable to accept it. I think we need to work on that. And once you break this, you have a really wide door open, and your attitude is going to inspire, and it is very contagious. When you start doing that, the people start believing it, and the thing starts moving ahead. So I'll say yes. Standing strong is a very normal human activity. So it's not something like you really have to, work more on it or think about it that how you are going to do it. Once it click, you start practicing. It starts moving ahead. So I'll say never say die, and never say that I can't handle this. I'll say yes. Only we are gifted with the brain, and surely we can handle everything as and when it comes. Right. So
Thank
with
you.
this note, I'll just stop my session.
Thank you, Rika ma'am. That was very inspiring, very, very well said and very well spoken. It's a great experience always to listen to you. I remember last year also you came up with a very inspiring speech. I also see a lot of schools from Gujarat have joined our comments. If you see on the right side, the comment section, there are so many people who are obviously watching because of your popularity in that area, and I'm sure that they will be inspired along with the students. Thank you for that. We also have Madhu with us, and before Madhu comes, she's a very erudite speaker herself and is a TEDx speaker. She's a life coach and she holds a lot of training and coaching programs. She's very renowned and has done very well in the past few years. And by training, she's a company secretary, which is a mind boggling combination to be a company secretary as well as a speaker, orator, a motivator, and life coach. It's very tough, I'm sure. But before she gives her viewpoint for about 7 or 8 minutes, I'd just like to share a little story which relates to what Rekha ma'am said. All the difficulties that come to our lives, they actually come to teach us something. And there was a museum where there was a beautiful marble floor and a beautiful marble statue. And that statue was very popular, and people from across the world would come and see that museum. And that statue was photographed, and people would really go gaga over it. But the same marble had been used for the tiles on which they were walking, and the same marble was used for the statue. So after a few months, the tiles and the statue, they had a conference in the middle of the night. And the tile said to the statue that, why do you get all the adulation and all the love and all the fame, and whereas we are made of the same material, and everybody steps on us and trods on us and tramples on us, and they don't even look at us. Whereas we're from the same cave, the same marble, the same material. And the statue says, you remember when the people came to collect marble and the sculptor wanted to sculpt marble into a statue, and you were the ones who did not want that. You did not want him to tamper with your physical existence. And I was the one who was willing. And when the sculptor sculpts us, it's obviously painful because he chips away some material from the stone, and then the stone comes out to be beautiful as a statue. So, in order to achieve something, you have to undergo pain. Only then you reach somewhere. So Madhu, as promised, you are on at 5:46, and I know you have a tight deadline, but here you go. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Vivek. And I really appreciate what Rekha ma'am has just said. I think she's rightly pointed out that what is a conversation that we are having about, losing somebody, somebody falling sick, somebody, you're losing jobs, you're losing your health. These are the conversations that we are having. And that is subconsciously making us, focus more on what is going wrong in our life. So she was absolutely right on that part of it, that how are we actually dealing with it, how what is the conversation we're having with others plus ourselves. And I really believe that, what the conversation that we have in our inner self is something which plays a bigger role in our life. Now, I've heard so much about this COVID going bad, impacting people's health in last 2 years, losing. I've heard so much of it, but luckily I was not affected by this virus in last 2 years. But last 10 days, I got impacted by this. I was under the influence of virus. And I was constantly getting calls from everybody who knew me saying, Madhu, how are you? You fall sick, you start having weakness, you have fatigue, you have pains, you have this. And I am in my mind thinking, अभी तक तो कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, nothing has happened so far, and why is everybody telling me this? Is it going to happen now? So I'm just waiting for that moment that I also start having pains, I also start feeling weak, because everybody's flooded me with those thoughts. And luckily till now it's been 15 days, I have recovered. I was extremely sick, recovered, but I don't have anything left now. No fatigue, no weakness, nothing. So the things which were coming in my mind, if I was not conscious about it, or if I was not a coach, I would have actually found those out. अगर मुझे थोड़ा सा भी pain होता तो I would have related, oh, somebody was telling me this, I'm having it now, I'm actually falling sick, I'm actually falling weak. I would have correlated to it and actually fallen sick even though I was not sick. So it's a conversation that we have around. This time I know it has been challenging for a lot of people, but there are a lot of other people who have created magic in these 2 years. They've literally created magic. Like if we see Rekha ma'am, I think she's taken a school completely from physical to virtual running. If we see Kamalneet over here, he's taken his entire business model from physical to virtual. You've been doing the same, Vivek. I have been doing the same. I didn't know how to operate a Zoom. I didn't know how to, log in into the stream. Yeah, I knew nothing of this. But this lockdown has taught us this. We don't talk about that. We talk about the cuts in pay. We talk about loss of job. We talk about loss of health. We don't talk about the things that we've learned. If you see our parents who don't understand English, who are not familiar with computer, in fact, my dad, who's never used all of this, he's learned how to use all these devices now. But we're not talking about it. So we're just looking forward that when will things become normal? I think things have become normal. We need to change our lens of how we are looking at it. And once we change our lens at it, we'll see that this new way that we are living is even more beautiful than what we had earlier. But we get used to a certain pattern, right? Life has to be like this. We have to wake up in the morning, go to our office, work till evening, come back, spend time with family and sleep. This is what we were expecting. 2 घंटा traffic में stuck होना है, crib करना है. People, when people are honking, cars are honking, we've got to get irritated. That is the normal for us. Now when we don't have all of that, we don't feel normal. So it's not about things going bad, or the people who've made millions of rupees in this lockdown, because they could crack that opportunity. And 2020, when we are talking about 2022 staying strong, I think the best way to stay strong in 2022 is forget whatever has happened, forget what went wrong, just look at what we have right now with us, and how can we tap onto it, how can we utilize that completely. Like, I in this lockdown last few months, when things started opening, I started something new with kids, and when I saw happiness on this kid's face, I was like, wow, if this was not for lockdown, if schools were running normal, I wouldn't have got to experiment this new thing with kids, and I wouldn't have been able to see this happiness on their face and the parents' face as well. So it was incredible how this worked out. And in 2022, if we just walk with the experiences that we had in 2020 or 2021, we're just going to be sad. And COVID is not responsible for sadness. Government is not responsible for our sadness. It's just we who are responsible for it. So I think it's time for us to take ownership. time for us to tap on the potentials that we have, tap on the avenues that have opened up for us. Yeah, things are getting back to physical and everything, but I think still doing it virtually, lot of businesses can learn be done virtually. We can work on them. Even now, we've been working for 2 years. We are going to be able to serve a lot more people. Leon Tolstoy said many things about changing the world is what we focus on, but hardly anyone thinks about changing their own self. So let 2022 be focusing our own self, figuring out what we can do, and let forget whatever has happened, man. It's past, and let that stay in past. So that's all I have to say from my side. Vivek, I think I can just go on and on because this topic is something which I practice as a profession day in and day out. I help people change that conversation that they have in their own mind. I help them figure out how to improve things in their lives. So I can just go on, but then I'll pass it over to you now. Thank you so much for giving.
Thank you, Madhu. Great thoughts. In fact, the comments section is showing people agreeing with you a lot. So, Ritika is saying the power of the mind over body, and Sanjay is lauding our session overall. Navjot is saying very pertinent and relatable issues, getting a lot of valuable inputs. Many of them are saying wow and absolutely and great
Vivek,
ideas.
all those who are messaging in the chat box, I just have one more message for them. We listen a lot of these talks. We join a lot of these talks and we really appreciate them. We get into that moment, we feel them. But then the whole game lies about what are you doing after that?
Yeah.
They're going to hear from you, from Rekha ma'am, Kamal, Neet, me. They're going to really like what is happening.
Hmm.
But what are we doing after that? Are we going back to what we were doing or are we just implementing these things? I think
Absolutely.
implementation is the key.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you a question, Madhu, to build up on what you said. So, you do so many things. There are so many different kinds of things that you do. Without the pandemic, even otherwise, how do you prioritize all that and how do you manage your time as briefly as you can?
Okay, so I manage my time easily. I still have time where I spend with my own self. I go holidaying very frequently. I have my lazy days out there. I still have a lot of time in hand while doing my CS, while working with kids, while coaching clients, while taking training sessions. I do have a lot of time. The only reason being I enjoy what I'm doing. And I don't bother so much about what is not done. I just look at what is to be done, do whatever is possible. Not done, okay, next day is going to come and let's do it on the next day. I don't grill myself over the thought, oh shit, I had so many things in my list and I'm yet to finish this much. No, I'm never in that hurry. Never at all. So my mind is always in a relaxed zone. Yeah, it's been a good day. I've done a couple of things. Let's look forward for the next things tomorrow. And the mental game
Absolutely.
plays.
Absolutely well said. I think prioritization, time management, and being a little chilled out also helps. I mean,
Of course,
you
not
don't
too chilled
really,
out, but a little, of course.
yeah, a little, being a little chilled out. No,
Because
thank you,
anyways,
Madhu.
when you're focusing on what you've not done, you're not achieving anything. So let us
Yeah,
focus on what is done and what can be done.
absolutely. We are in North India at the moment. It's very cold. It's blustery. It's rainy. And there are people who's feeling low. People feeling low because of the weather. So then tomorrow again, the sun will shine, and the darkness always goes away when the sun shines. And anyway, carrying an attitude of being, a little more relaxed and calm in the mind always helps. I think great tips from Madhu as well. Rekha ji and Madhu have set such a high benchmark. Kamalneet, हमें कुछ करना पड़ेगा to match their standards. I know that you are going to be outstanding anyway. So I'm sure Madhu, you can stay for a while and listen to Kamalneet for a bit.
Sure,
And
sure.
whenever you have to pop out, it's up to you. But over to you, Kamalneet. Ajao. You're on mute at the moment. Let me unmute you or you unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. People who are married, they stay on mute a lot more. Just lighter note. So,
Very true.
so I hope my wife is
And
not in
people
the
who have good
in
partners
the
always comment on this.
True, true, true. So now, Vivek, you are right. The kind of benchmark that they have set, I'm thinking I can use an excuse कि मेरा network peak है, so I'll exit maybe. Yeah,
नहीं, नेटवर्क बहुत अच्छा है, अच्छे नजर आ रहे हो,
yeah.
बिल्कुल शार्प
You're not
क्लियर
actually
टर्न एंड जैकेट ब्लू, वी आर मैचिंग इन कलर्स आई थिंक, तो आप
correct.
कर लो बस.
Correct. I really loved what Rekha Madam and Madhu said about giving importance to. Madam spoke about social emotional learning and the conversations back home in the environment. Whatever is happening is very very crucial. In fact, I would want to share a story, and I think all of you watching, maybe as an audience, if you recall days of school, the school days and the college days, and probably one can close their eyes and imagine that were we happier then, and also reflect at the same time, were we happier then or are we happy now today? If we compare, I think you'll probably have an answer by now. So a quick story to probably dive in, because it's all about 2022, and I am all about let 22 be all about you. Let's It's time that 2022 should be about you. So what happened? There is this one fish who went to the other fish, the bigger one, the older one, with more experience, and said, "Hey, you know what? I need your help." And the bigger fish, with all courtesy, said, "Tell me, how can I help you?" And the younger fish said that, I'm looking for this thing called the ocean. Where do I really find this thing called the ocean? And the big fish had a very puzzled look, and she said that, what are you looking for? The ocean. What do you think are you into at the moment? She said, well, what I see around myself is water, but where is this thing called the ocean? And the big fish looked at the smaller fish and said, my dear friend, this is the ocean. And the little one again said, no, but I don't believe you. What I see around myself is only water, but where is the ocean? And the big fish again, with politely and gently said, my dear friend, this is the ocean. And she again retaliated and said, no, but this is water. And she gave up and she said, you know what, I doubt that you will ever be able to find the ocean. And the bigger fish moved on. Now, this reminds me of an incident related to what I'm talking about. I was leading a session with about 15, 16-year-old kids in school, and we were talking about success, what success means to you. So I asked them, so how would you define success? So I remember this boy sitting towards the end wearing a blue shirt, again in a blue uniform, and he said, sir, when probably the day I buy that white BMW, I think I'll be very, very successful. And then there were other boys and girls around looking and talking. So I asked others as to, uh, how would you define success? And there is this girl standing, sitting right in the front row, front seat, and she said, when I buy that, in fact, she took a name. Honestly, मुझे वो Italian company का नाम भी याद नहीं है. And she said, a purse from this company, when I have that purse, I think I'll be very successful. And I generally asked as to how much is that, what is the price of that purse? And she said, it's somewhere around 1.5 lakhs or something. I said, 1.5 lakhs for a purse? And she said, yes. And then I went on and I asked others as to how would you define success? So somebody had this idea कि जब मेरे पास एक वो एक वो बड़े वाला घर होगा, and then probably I'll be happy. And I laughed, and they said, why are you laughing? I said, the misconceptions about success and happiness, they have started pretty early. And they said, what do you mean? And then one of them asked me as to how would you define success? What is it that success means to you? And I said, for me, if I get enough time for myself, and if I'm able to read books, I think that's happiness for me. If I'm able to, on a weekend, go out and play cricket, with some people, that's happiness for me. If I'm able to spend some time with my wife, quality time with my son, I think that's happiness for me. And उन सबकी शक्लों पे ना बड़ा वो था कि ये क्या बात हो रही है, we have been thinking about something else. We have been thinking about the cars, we have been thinking about the houses, we have been thinking about the shiny objects all around, but this one is talking about something else. So this brings me to a theme for 2022, and 2022 is actually about you. And what I mean by that is that there is something called personal success, and then there is something called universal success. I think a place wherein we have gone wrong is we have collapsed that. You know, we have collapsed universal success with personal success, and a lot of surveys around, they say that we're probably looking at people's ideas of success, and we're trying to borrow that कि हाँ अगर ये मेरे साथ भी हो गया, I think that's when I am going to be successful and happy and stronger and healthier emotionally or otherwise. My take today is that it's a humble request through the platform, and it's also a call to reflect. Uh, Define your own personal success, and you need not be borrowing people's universal success. Don't buy universal success as an idea. You rather stick to your own personal success. And sometimes people work very very hard कि एक नया घर बनाना, they're living in a house very happily, and they're running around कि मुझे एक और नया घर बनाना है, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But in the whole process, because कहीं ना कहीं आपने वो buy कर लिया, thought that someone's success idea of buying a house should be mine too. In that run, you leave your own time, emotions, you leave all of that on the table, and you're running for something thinking that कि हाँ ये हो जाएगा तो life झिंगा लाला. My appeal to each one of you is that define your personal success. It can be as simple as you living in the same house and spending all of the money that you thought you'd use it for a house, probably use that for experiences for your own self. And it's time that you define your own personal success on your own terms, and stay happy with that instead of buying the idea of universal success. So that's that for me. I can go on, but we'll have to keep a check here. Vivek, over to you.
Thank you, Kamalneet. I absolutely agreed with what you said. We should actually invest in experiences. That is one takeaway. The second is that bigger car and that bigger house and that additional chocolate or pani puri also won't give you that permanent happiness. And it doesn't come from there. It comes from your attitude. It comes from within. So in the next 5 minutes or so, I'll share my own thoughts, and then we'll also have some Q&A. And those who are watching this session live, I would request you to type out your questions, and we will definitely take them up after my intervention, and then we will close by 6:30 p.m. So for 5 or 6 minutes, I will just share a few thoughts. Firstly, I'd like to just mention a speaker who I really admire, and he really, when I started out as a motivational speaker, I resigned from the IAS 4 years ago, as many of you know, 4.5 years ago. I watched this speech, and he was the 2014 champion, perhaps, of Toastmasters, and many of you have watched it, Dhananjay Hetarachi. And this Dhananjay Hetarachi, a Sri Lankan American, in 7 minutes, he takes you through the depths of his life and to the triumphs of his life. And the one thing that comes out is that it is your attitude and your inner makeup and your mind and your own internal battles which matter more than whatever is happening outside. And if you couple what he says so beautifully with the Harvard study of 75 years of happiness, how do people remain happy? It is the social connect, it is the conversations, it is the people around you, it is the company, it is the thoughts, it is what people think, what people talk about around you. So, whatever we do or whatever we say, if we are in the company of people who are always negative, always critical, always complaining, always criticizing, then obviously we will feel low. Because however much you might be upbeat, if your neighbor and your family member and your best friend is always to use Mr. Shashi Tharoor's words, acerbic or caustic, or absolutely totally in the dungeon, then how will you yourself come out of that? So we cannot change the company at times, but the company can change. by virtue of your example. Refuse to get into conversations which are negative. And Rekha ma'am, Madhu, and Kamalneet all said, I mean, what is the point of focusing on the dark alleys of life when you have the sunshine above? And even if it's a cloudy day, you know that the sun is just behind the clouds. It is very, very important for us to focus on the right things in life. And there is no day going to come when things will be absolutely perfect. Never. In any food which is served to you on the table, you can always say that this is so delicious, but अगर इसमें ये भी होता तो और जबरदस्त हो जाता. Always scope for improvement. Always you can be a better speaker. Kamalneet, I, Rekha ma'am, we are speakers. Madhu, we can improve. We can inspire instead of 1 million people, 10 million people. The sky is the limit. Where is the battle of life being fought? It is not being fought on the battlegrounds of Eton and Harrow, वो अंग्रेज बोलते हैं, not on the battlegrounds of Kurukshetra. It is being fought in our minds. It is being fought within us. And if I am going to wake up and think, oh no, it's a dreary day, it's a dreary year, gloomy around us, this is going to happen, that is going to go wrong, of course things will go wrong. Who said that you're going to have a smooth life? Never. No, it won't happen. So always expect something to go wrong. I follow the Pareto principle a lot, and all the management gurus, they know about it, and Kamalneet also lives by it, I know. So 80-20 rule hai. If 80% or even 70% of your life is as per your wish, and you are meeting the right people, you're eating the food you like, you are generally having good conversations, you are monetarily comfortable, financially stable, reasonably stable. वो जरूरी नहीं है कि the latest iPhone is with your neighbor and you don't have it, so you have to fret over it. Or somebody said something to you at the bus stop last year. वो जब भी वो दिखता है आपको गुस्सा आता है, ये इसने मुझे ऐसे बोला. Why do you keep that pain in your heart and mind for so long? So it is my attitude and my internal battle. अब वाइब्रेंट नेटवर्किंग फोरम को डॉक्टर ने तो नहीं बोला कि मोटिवेशनल सेशन करो, हमें किसी ने नहीं बोला, हम लोगों ने डिसाइड किया इकट्ठे मिलकर. आई हैड अ वर्ड विद रेखा मैम, कमलनीत, मधु, शुड वी डू इट? यस, लेट्स डू इट. सो ऑल ऑफ अस आर गिविंग टू यू द काइंड ऑफ इनपुट्स दैट वी फील फ्रॉम द हार्ट. एंड द सेइंग इज व्हाट कम्स फ्रॉम द हार्ट गोज टू द हार्ट. हम दिल से बोलेंगे तभी आप दिल से समझेंगे. अब मैं ऊपर ऊपर से बोलूं तो बात नहीं बनेगी. आई फील व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, and I feel connected to the audience on this very silly medium, which is the camera medium, where you are somewhere and I'm somewhere else. However, we are connected, and I see people from all over India commenting. I see people connected. Now, I'll tell you a couple of stories to further inspire you, hopefully, and then we'll go into some questions. The first story is my favorite one, of Arthur Ashe, and I've told you this before. Many audiences have heard it. Arthur Ashe won Wimbledon. Wimbledon is the biggest tennis tournament. Arthur Ashe was the first black male American or first black American player to win it. When he won Wimbledon, he was on top of the world. Newspapers, TV, whatever, celebrity. Now, that moment is fleeting. कोई फेमस हमेशा नहीं रहेगा. अमिताभ बच्चन भी अब केबीसी की वजह से जबरदस्त हैं. We love him. But you cannot remain on top of the world forever. Virat Kohli is also now not captain anymore. So Arthur Ashe was, unfortunately, after 10, 12 years, he was ill. He was dying of a critical ailment. And he was getting letters by hand. Those days, people used to write by hand. Beautiful handwriting. He would write back to each of them. One person writes, or many people wrote, Arthur, why is this happening to you? Why not to somebody else? We love you so much. He says, when I won Wimbledon, I was the one out of 1 million tennis players who would have loved to win Wimbledon. I was the one out of 128 men who competed in the tournament that year. I did not ask God, why me? Why is this happening to me, God? Why have I won Wimbledon? What right do I have now when I'm dying? Then also he says, what right do I have now to ask God, why me? मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? So we have to turn the spotlight to others, and we have to stop feeling sorry for ourselves and feeling bad for ourselves. And it is our internal victory, as Kamalneet said. हमारा अपना गोल है, हमारी अपनी लड़ाई है. और एक और saying, when I heard a saint speaking, I follow Self Realization Fellowship and Yogoda Satsang, and they have lovely lectures on life and spirituality. And one of the stories was that each of us is fighting our own battle and living our own story. You are the hero of your story. And if you are the hero of your story, when you go up to finally after leaving this planet and you go to the heavenly gates or whatever, पता नहीं कहाँ जाना है, वहां पे जो मिलेगा वो पूछेगा आपसे, how were you in your life? And if you say कि मुझे कमलनीत ने तंग किया या रेखा मैम ने तंग किया या मधु ने तंग किया या फलाने ने तंग किया या मेरी वाइफ ने कहा कुछ या उसने कहा या बस स्टॉप पे उस बंदे ने मुझे क्रिटिसाइज, वो कहेगा मैंने नहीं सुनना ये सब. How were you in reaction or response to all those troubles that you had? How was your attitude despite everything? And when Kamalneet goes, they will ask him कि तुमने विवेक को क्यों तंग किया? Because that is his story then. Just an example, Kamalneet, आपको मैं, you know, we are very good friends. So the point is that we cannot be cry babies. वो पंजाब में कहते हैं रोंदू टाइप नहीं बनना. The दुखी आत्मा नहीं बनना है. नहीं बनना है, दुखी आत्मा नहीं बनना है. Turn the tables on life, live to your full potential, and be prepared for a few knocks down. When you enter a boxing ring, तो लड़ाई तो होएगी ना. Life is also a boxing ring. And somebody was talking, one of the Toastmaster champions, I think her name is Ramona J. Smith, and she also won Toastmasters in 2018 perhaps. And she said, stay in the ring. आपको knock down हो गया, knock out नहीं हुआ. Get up when you can, but stay in the ring. मैदान छोड़ के मत भागो. So मन में भी मैदान छोड़ के मत भागो. रेखा मैम पता नहीं कहाँ भाग गई हैं, पर आ जाएंगे अभी वापस, hopefully. But anyway, these are my thoughts, and it's basically an opportunity for us motivational speakers and TEDx speakers to get together and bring some light into your lives and hopefully inspire you and stay connected. I'll be very happy to be connected to all of you later as well. Kamalneet and I are both on social media. Rekha ma'am and Madhu are also on social media. You can find us on Instagram. Our names are very clear on the screen. You can Google or find us and stay connected. Ask us questions, read our books, listen to us, watch our channels. And I have a question from Ishanvi. Kamal, you may like to take this question. I'll read it out for you.
Sure.
How can we find motivation within rather than looking for someone to motivate us? Instead of looking for someone to motivate us, how can we find motivation within? Kamalneet?
Yeah, that's a great question indeed. I think the first place, I'll probably answer this with a quote. They say that the gate to happiness opens inward, bahar nahi khulta, right? So, and I think the question is also on the same lines. Now, I think one of the things that whatever motivation that you're looking at, I think it is wo kahin na kahin, it is hidden behind your self awareness. The I would urge everybody, watching this and to answer Ishanvi. I think that's the name,
Yes,
Ishanvi. So,
yeah.
I think know yourself better. The more you know yourself better, the better you are going to be at motivating yourself. I'll give you an example. Right now, let's say that food is being served, and अच्छा अच्छा खाना लगा हुआ. I know ये सुन के किसी के मुंह में पानी भी आएगा, but that's okay. And it's pretty cold, so you can have chai pakoras. That's one thing. But then let's say there is food which is being served, and there are different cuisines. There is continental, there is Indian, there is Chinese, there is Thai, there is Japanese, and so on and so forth. Right now, a couple of people get together and they say, "Ki, chalo, Japanese try karte hain," right? And Japanese is amazing. And let's say you tried it, but kind of you did not like it. So just to be a part of that, if you keep on having that Japanese food, now this is only as an example, Japanese ke piche nahi padenge hum, but then uh, only as an example, if you keep on doing something that you do not like to do, you will be demotivated. हो सकता है हंसते हंसते कह तो दो कि बहुत अच्छी है करी and all of that, but deep inside you'll not like it. So I'll go back to the idea that if you know that you are the paneer tikka person, or you are the butter chicken person, or you are the maybe the pakode wala, when you know that, you go by the choices basis on your own self awareness. And somebody, I think, wrote in the comments, I love that part. Somebody said, be you, know your own self, and be yourself. I think that is something that will give you motivation. And there is a line that says that you will not be, a lot of times one is demotivated when you're trying to make everybody happy. ऐसा
Yeah.
कभी भी नहीं हो सकता. That's never possible. And everybody knows that when we walk out of a marriage, जिसकी शादी थी, जिसने organize की थी, the family, they spend lakhs, and sometimes the money also runs into crores. People walk out and they say दाल में ना नमक कम था. Right? So you cannot really make people happy.
Yeah.
So maybe try and stay away from that trap. Know yourself better, and act on your own self the way you are. Just keep it like that.
Absolutely, absolutely, Kamalni. The excellent, wonderful, and now you know why you are here as a speaker for Vibrant Forum. You are so good at answering all the tough questions, right?
Thank you.
Wonderfully well done. रेखा मैम आप मैदान छोड़ के भाग गई थी but आप वापस आ गई हैं. We're very happy to see you back. I'm sure you had some technical issues, but
Yes,
there is
yes,
I think she's the principal or a teacher from Children's Heaven High School, and I'm sure you know the school.
yes, yes.
Who's saying my personal success is when I do something extra unique for my students in the field of their spiritual upliftment. So, your comment on that, doing something personal, doing something extra for the students in any way?
Yes. I feel that even if we start, if we have to work with the children, I will say that yes, we need to create a wonderful, first thing is self awareness, right? Spirituality is meeting your own self, accepting yourself and
I
just
love the
moving
definition.
ahead. Yeah. So I'll say yes, doing is self awareness. We know others so well, but do we know our own self? And how you help children to understand that, first know yourself, your likes, what makes you upset, what makes you very happy. When you're upset, what is happening, how you're going to deal with that. And I think this kind of conversations and this kind of developing skills truly help. After self awareness, I will say yes, second we take over is the self management. If you know yourself, then you know how to manage yourself. We are going to have all kind of things, but only talking about it or giving labeling to those things, I think is not enough. We need to deal with them. We must know how to manage them. And then social awareness, what people around you are, what kind of message you are giving, how you feel, and how you take others uh, you know uh, advice, or I will say that act, or whatever it is so very important. And with this you will create new me, wonderful new me. So that new me, when you meet, you realize that yes, that is a big gift you are giving to the world, and first to your own self.
Okay, now I have a little tougher question. I'm going to ask a question to both of you, and not tougher in the sense that it will inspire others, I'm sure. So, Kamalneet, there must be moments when, despite being a motivational speaker, speaker of leadership and other matters, that you too feel a little low at times. And how do you work on yourself and come out of it?
So I think I'll probably take the chance to burst a myth for all the people out there who think that people who are in somebody who's a trainer, or somebody who's a coach, or somebody who's a motivational speaker, or somebody who is trying to inspire people, they do, including me. We have our low days, and sometimes it can be pretty low, right? Now I'll pick from what Rekha Madam had said, that but self-awareness comes in very handy. There is something which I'll try, and if I can show you that. I did not know that this would come up, but then now that it has come up,
Sure.
let me see if I can. I have a I have a 10 pointer, rather 11 pointer checklist. I'm just trying to pull that out. So, okay, let me answer that and I'll see if I can find that on my phone.
Hmm.
There's a 10, 11 pointer list that I have when I know that I am low. And I have a list of things that I know that I'm going to do. And I'm going to share my thing also with you. There are days when I'm low, but I also know the self management part of it, right? I know that if I read a book by my favorite author, maybe if I spend 10 minutes of time reading a book that I love, that shifts my personal energy, that shifts my focus from what जहाँ पे भी वो फंसा हुआ था मेरा thought, because as Vivek mentioned that the battle is within the 6 inches of your ears. सारा battle ये change में है, between your ears. So how do you shift that really comes in handy. So I listen to music. I listen to I'll tune into some Punjabi music with high beats, and I do a set of 5 6 things that I know, and that it will shift me. Now, if anybody tells you that they don't have days when they are low, I think they're probably lying. That's impossible. I do have. Then I'm very clear. Uh, it doesn't take me too long with practice to know that I am going into a low state. And the moment I realize that, I shift around. Not I'm immediately happy after that, but I shift around to know कि अब मुझे करना क्या है. अब मैं गड्ढे में तो गिर रहा हूँ. I see myself I'm going into the pothole. But अब मुझे क्या क्या करना ताकि मैं बिल्कुल नीचे ना चला जाऊँ. So I do a couple of things for that.
Right. Wonderful. And Rekha ma'am, I'll add to that for you. Sometimes you must be feeling the pressure and
Yeah.
stress. So, as a human being, so how do you handle it?
I cry it out. मैं जी भर
Oh,
के रो लेती हूँ and I feel so good because God has given this a very natural mechanism that you
I'm going to
cry it
applaud
out
you. I'm
and
sure Kamal
yeah,
will also. This is
yeah,
very brave of you and very inspiring of you to say that. Go ahead.
yeah. Second thing is, like I listen to the music. I avoid meeting people. I avoid talking with them. I don't give that day any appointments or any teacher comes like, no, later on we'll talk. So I don't talk with people much. I meet my own self and I feel that, okay, why I am hurt or why this is happening. And when you say, yeah, but this moment also is going to pass by. And another very funny thing I do is I start eating my very favorite food. And this is how I just try to find out, okay, what makes me feel very good. People sometimes, yes, they do hurt you like anything, but I always say that God bless them because they don't know that what they are doing to others. First time, Vivek ji, when I had my first son, he's borderline retarded, and uh, I was fumbling. I was not knowing what to do because no mother has been dreamt for having a baby with a special needs, and I was not knowing what to do. But I'll tell you that so quickly I turned myself and I started dealing with it. And let me face it. So any problem comes, I had a roller coaster life experiences. But what I do is I very bravely go and stand there and face it and deal with it. And when you start doing it, you start getting ideas, and you are able to pass by that. And in the process, I see that you become more mature and more tolerant and more acceptance you have for the world around you. So that this is what few things I do it.
I agree with you, Rekha ma'am. This is very well said, and I'm really uh, impressed that you chose to say that you cried out. I mean, very few people would say that, and it's a very personal thing, but really well done. And we have two very frank and bold and brave speakers here with me. And we have a couple of comments which I must read out because they are very enlightening as well. So Mr. Chandrasekhar Dubey, and Dubey reminds me of my second book, which was Dubeji Bounces Back. So I'm so Chandrasekhar ji, you keep bouncing back in life. He says, when you are low in spirit, follow the principle of Niruddha Chit. That is, don't allow negative thoughts to enter your mind by training it with meditation. Meditation is another way in which you can actually beat all the difficulties of life, and it's very, very important also. And Dharminder Kumar Katpalia ji says, pour out your heart onto the shoulder of someone who is willing to provide you his, her shoulder when you feel low. And Amrinder Chabra, who also agrees with me and is saying, very bold of you to say all this on a public platform. But that's what this event is about. That's what this experience sharing session is about, or was about now. We are about to end this session with one last thought from everybody. And I'll be very happy to hear two sentences each from Rekha ji and Kamalneet ji. And this time Kamalneet goes first. So Kamalneet, over to you.
Sure. I think in continuation, what I would like to say is that we are all human beings, right? Unless you think otherwise in your head, So we're all human beings, and there are good days, there are bad days, and it's up to us to do something about the bad days also. And I think there's one thing that's probably biting into our happiness. One of them is guilt about a few things, and the other one is worry about something. So guilt is from the past, generally, and worry is about the future, and it happens to everybody. So one thing that I really want to say is कि सबके साथ होता है, there's no biasness on that. It happens with everybody, but uh, have your 4 5 things to do that you will do. And Vivek, I really want to say that I don't want to miss on that. you know uh, Happiness in the moment and sadness in the moment cannot coexist. That's how the brain functions. So kaibari when I'm low, I switch to some stand-up comedy or Kapil Sharma, and 5 minutes, 5 minutes, you have
Absolutely.
that beautiful smile that you see on Rekha Madam's face. So but you'll have to decide कि नहीं मुझे ना इसे step out करना है. So that's
Yes.
So, Kamalneet, that is wonderfully well said. And if I may add to that, you watch the Chitrangada Singh episode on Kapil Sharma. फिर और मजा आएगा,
okay.
फिर और अच्छा
Sure.
लगेगा. So that is
Done.
something that is my favorite episode. And Rekha ma'am, you.
Yes, I say we are super duper human being, and as I always say that we are the best design of God. God has gifted us with brain. God has gifted us with emotions, and I think that's a great gift to the human life. So we surely can turn our pain into power and struggle into strength. We have to believe it, live it, and celebrate it. Thank you very much.
Super, 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 wonderful. In fact, we'll keep having these interactions, and all of you who have heard Kamalneet and Rekha ma'am for the first time will hopefully hear them again on this forum, as well as you can go to their own social media and follow them. And you can also follow me, and I'll be happy to hear or read or see new questions, new followers, new queries. And let's stay strong in 2022. And this forum, this conversation was not only about the pandemic. I'm sure if anybody watches this 2 years later or 5 years later on YouTube, there will be takeaways then also. And we have focused on the bigger picture of life itself. Thank you once again, Rekha ji and Kamalneet, for being here, and always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank
Likewise,
you.
truly a pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And all the
Thank you
viewers,
so much. Yeah.
have a good time. Thank you.